does not include sexual offences and certain other categories of crime. Danny Shaw looking at those figures for us, and we'll get more from him a little later. Now let's get more on the plans to introduce plain packaging on cigarettes. In England, the Public Health Minister, Jane Ellison, told the Commons last night that MPs would be asked to approve regulations designed to deter people from smoking before the general election. Well, Australia is the only other country to have introduced such laws, and Simon Chapman is a professor of public health at Sydney University and has written a book on the issue. He joins us via webcam from Sydney. And I will preface this because I've got a note saying I need to point out you're on holiday, hence the fact you're in a tracksuit top and unshaven. So I've done that bit. Simon, if I could just start by saying, is the evidence that the introduction of plain packaging has reduced the number of smokers?
Smoking has been declining in Australia for many, many years, and that's as a consequence of all the things that the Australian government and state governments have been doing for many years. Plain packaging is just the latest part of that comprehensive package, but in the 12 months after the introduction of plain packaging, receipts to government from clearances of cigarettes going through customs decreased 3.4%, and last year, 2 years after the introduction, we found that smoking prevalence, the number of people who smoked in Australia, declined to 12.8%, which has never been lower and puts Australia #1 in the world, where there are no other nations which are lower than Australia. Now, some people would say, well, that's all the other things except plain packaging which are responsible, as particularly the tobacco industry would say that, and I think we should pay attention to the fact that they're highlighting that because they know exactly the impact of measures. They monitor it shop by shop, brand by brand, day by day, 365 days a year. They know exactly what's happening in Australia, which is why they're opposing it.
One of the interesting things that I've seen that doesn't seem to be a subject of argument is that smokers themselves feel they're able to give up more easily with plain packaging, and it makes them feel they want to give up more.
Look, there was a lot of discussion about smokers being opposed to it beforehand, but what we forget is that 90% of smokers regret ever having taken up smoking. So smokers, the ones who oppose tobacco control measures, are a very, very small minority. Most smokers want to quit. They're grateful when the price goes up. They're grateful when they can't smoke in the workplace because it cuts down their smoking. And what we've found with plain packaging is that they're also very, very supportive after the implementation. So the British government is not going to see any sort of backlash, and what's happened over there with the bipartisan support that we're now seeing with the Conservative Party and the Labor Party, exactly the same thing happened in Australia. It was completely politically a non-event. We have total support from all parties in Australia for this move.
You've touched on it already, but one of the arguments being made here is that this will lead to an increase in counterfeiting and the illegal trade. That's not backed up where you are.
No, it's not. And in fact, when Sir Cyril Chandler came out to Australia for the British government, he interviewed various people in the tobacco industry, and one British-American tobacco executive told him, and this is in the report, that they had not seen any increase in counterfeiting of their brands at all. Look, they run headline after headline saying cigarettes are up. They're trying to run the fanciful figure that 1 in 6 or 1 in 7 cigarettes being smoked are illegally obtained. Nobody but the tobacco industry believes that. It's a complete fiction.
Should we, not sympathise is the wrong word, but should we accept the industry's assertion that this is making a lot of money, it creates jobs, we're talking about marketing, we're talking about PR, we've seen a lot of PR lately, but that there are significant aspects of smoking that are beneficial to an economy?
Well, of course, the same argument was made about the slave trade, the opium trade, and sort of enslaving children, sending them up chimneys, you know, in Victorian England. But these days, 177, I think it is, nations have signed the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control to try and really reduce smoking globally. And England and Australia are among two countries who are in the front ranks of that effort. And I must say that everyone in Australia today, when the news broke, was absolutely delighted about this. Good on you.
Professor Simon Chapman, are you having a nice holiday?
I am indeed. It's very, very hot in Sydney today, but I'm just about to go and watch Australia beat Korea in the Asian Cup.
Professor, we might have you back later to talk about that when you lose. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
He thought we were going to cut him off. We should have done. You're watching BBC News. Now, reports from eastern Ukraine say several people were killed when shelling hit a trolley bus in the city of Donetsk. Reports vary on the number of people killed. Local officials say as many as 13 may have died. This has not been confirmed. The incident came hours after a new round of